Okay, so the rally continues with 27 minutes before the closing bell rings. We need to tell you that the energy sector is on fire today, leading today's rally on Wall Street. We saw bigger than expected drops in inventories, even though we actually saw that it boosted 36 out of the 40 energy names in the S&P 500. So what do you see here? Names like Anadarko, Hemmerlich. We've got Transocean looking very good. Chesapeake getting a real lift today, although oil is still below $49 a barrel. A bombshell kind of hit the House of Representatives last night. This the day before the House is set to wrap up business and leave for the 5-week summer recess. North Carolina Congressman Mark Meadows suddenly offered a motion out of nowhere to unseat Speaker John Boehner. It's a move that has not been attempted in 105 years. The motion accuses the Speaker of, quote, using the legislative calendar to create crises for the American people. Remember, Mark Meadows is a Republican speaking against Republican John Boehner, and he says this in order to compel members to vote for legislation. Mr. Boehner said just minutes ago during his press briefing he was not worried about it. Listen.
This is one member. All right, I've got broad support amongst my colleagues, and frankly, it isn't even deserving of a vote.
That was just a few minutes ago. Now we're joined by Fox News political analyst Monica Crowley, along with Hank Sheinkopf, Democratic strategist at Sheinkopf and Company. Great to have you both. First of all, let's give some context to what happened here. Mark Meadows was temporarily iced out when he voted against some of the trade initiatives that both President Obama and Republicans really liked. He felt he was punished, so now he's fighting back against Boehner.
Yes, Boehner and a number of establishment Republicans in the leadership have retaliated against conservatives. So what you just saw there, Liz, is the latest expression of the conservative revolt in the Congress. Look, I think as a conservative that John Boehner should go, but I also think this move was very ill-timed and ill-conceived.
He's getting no help. He's getting no support on that.
No, and if you're going to attack the king, then you must take out the king. And you can't take out the king unless you've rallied the troops and amassed support, which he did not have. I think this was an act of frustration with John Boehner, and I completely understand it. But in order to do this and actually carry it out and help the conservative cause and the Republican Party and not to destabilize the Congress, this was not the way to do it.
Well, Hank's sitting here nodding because he loves this. Probably as a Democrat, this only makes the GOP at a time where they need to show a little bit of solidifying look more scattered.
They look like dummies, number one. Number two, this is the best thing that could happen to the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee fundraising effort. Guaranteed the checks are flying in today.
Why?
Why? Because it shows instability. It shows a lack of leadership. The fact that something could occur in a House like that is not something that speakers generally permit.
And this on a day where some of the most powerful money contributors to the Republican Party, the Koch brothers, it has been revealed, at least through Politico, are not going to support Donald Trump. Speaking of icing out, the Koch brothers are not inviting Donald Trump to one of their big events in Columbus, Ohio, coming up, where they do help out with data some of the other contenders.
Yes, it's called the Defending the Dream Summit, and full disclosure, I do some work with Americans for Prosperity, which is one of the Koch brothers organizations. Not a big surprise. Donald Trump doesn't need the Koch brothers' money. He's got plenty of his own, as he's constantly telling us. He is very rich.
Does he need their data?
They have a very sophisticated technical infrastructure in terms of get out the vote efforts, in terms of targeting voters and mobilizing voters. Very, very influential. Donald Trump wasn't going to get that anyway. A number of the other Republican, especially conservative candidates are vying for that. I don't think Trump needs it. And frankly, he can build his own.
Hank, let me just give a nod to Bernie Sanders at the moment, who in some of the latest polls are beating most of the GOP candidates. Is this a serious move here?
It is a serious move because anything at this point is a serious move, like Donald Trump being in the front, like Bernie Sanders doing well. People are economically upset. They're not happy with the direction of the country. And by the way, it doesn't matter. The more wacky you are, the more insurgent you are, the more outside you are, the higher the probability that you're going to get some attention.
Look, he's got major crowds. He's coming from behind. We're watching it all with Donald Trump on the GOP side at the top of the polls. And
well, they're both populist, Liz.
Yeah. Do we want to do that Florida poll? Do we have that ready? Okay, we just want to quickly show you there is a poll, and we got to wrap it here. But St. Petersburg, the newspaper in Florida, has Donald Trump by a long shot leading two of Florida's own, Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio. Monica, quickly.
Yeah, that's surprising in the state of Florida when you have two native sons like Bush and Rubio running in that state. Look, Donald Trump is tapping into something very serious here, which is anger, fear, frustration about the state of the country. He speaks without apology. He speaks directly and is unscripted, and he speaks from the heart to a lot of issues that the base really cares about. Populist insurgency is the talk of the moment and may last into 2016.
Well, and maybe not beyond it, but we will watch it all. Thanks to both of you, Monica Crowley and Hank Sheinkopf.